The artists at Walt Disney Animation may have traded their pencils and notepads for computers and keyboards over the years, but not everything has changed. Decades of Disney heroes are too beloved to be forgotten, which means plenty of Easter eggs, secret cameos, and inside jokes to watch out for. Here's our list of 10 hidden details in Disney movies. Frozen. Long before Anna, Elsa, and Olaf became household names, the makers of Frozen had a party plan. Being named Queen of Arendelle may have stressed Elsa out, but it also meant the gates of the castle would finally be open to villagers and visiting guests. When Anna finally steps out of the gates, two arriving villagers should stand out to Disney fans: Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, the stars of Disney's Tangled. Big Hero 6. As one of the most successful movies Disney has ever released, we're willing to bet the Easter eggs and references pertaining to Frozen are just beginning. The minds behind Big Hero 6 are clearly fans, and hold a serious grudge against Hans, the would-be king who tried to kill both of Frozen's leading ladies. A statue of Hans can be seen for just a moment before Baymax destroys it while trying out his new armor. If that weren't enough, his face can be seen gracing the wanted poster in San Francisco police station. The Little Mermaid. It seems Disney animators never miss a chance to fill crowd scenes with iconic characters from other movies and cartoons, even before Easter eggs were mandatory. When King Triton assembles the underwater masses in the opening scene of The Little Mermaid, eagle-eyed viewers can spot Donald Duck, Goofy, and Mickey Mouse in the crowd, and it isn't just Disney mascots who get in on the fun either. Kermit the Frog can be seen just a few rows behind them. Lilo and Stitch. You don't have to be a princess to star in a Disney adventure, only willing to don a disguise to protect your family, and belt out a few musical numbers too. Mulan learned that for herself when she pretended to be a man to join China's forces against the invading Huns in Disney's retelling of the classic story. Its message must have struck a chord with the cast of Lilo and Stitch, since a poster of Mulan hangs on Lilo's mother Nanny's wall, and the family even passes a restaurant called Mulan Walk when first adopting the troublemaking alien. WALL-E. Trading a human or animal star for a robotic one, WALL-E was a major turning point for Pixar as a whole, relying less on dialogue than ever before. Set in a future where mankind has turned Earth into one massive landfill and headed to space, WALL-E is just one maintenance robot left behind. He's put his time to good use too, collecting dozens of trinkets and souvenirs to store in his home. When WALL-E first enters his house in the movie, one Toy Story character can be seen hidden behind a pair of bowling pins. How Rex managed to survive the man-made end of the world isn't clear, but if he did survive, then there's reason to believe Woody and the gang were still alive off-screen as well. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Few Disney movies can compete with the number of cameos tucked into The Hunchback of Notre Dame. With the opening scene alone featuring a vendor selling Aladdin's magic carpet and Beauty and the Beast's Belle out for a morning stroll, the Lion King jokester Pumbaa seems an odd one out, but his other cameo in the film's climax is even better, proudly standing guard as a stone gargoyle. Brave. When Pixar was made an official branch of Walt Disney Animation, the tradition of Easter eggs and cameos was just one thing both studios could agree on, even if it made no sense to the story being told. It's strange enough that among the wooden carvings being sold by the witch in Brave is the same Pizza Planet delivery truck included in every Pixar film. But the carved image of Sully, the first star of Monsters, Inc., shows that even witches need to worry about what's hiding in their closet. Beauty and the Beast. One of the best-known Pixar Easter eggs is the label A113, the class at the California Institute of Technology, where many of the company's earlier animators learned their trade. But the California locations are nothing new. In Beauty and the Beast, Maurice and Philippe find themselves lost in a terrifying forest, with a worn-out signpost offering little help. But a closer look shows an arrow pointing to both Valencia, where the school is located, and Anaheim, home to Disneyland. Ratatouille. In what may be Pixar's most unconventional tale to date, Ratatouille follows a rat with a flair for the culinary arts and a young man named Linguini, who hopes to be a great chef but lacks the skills to do so. The pair realizes success means combining their talents, but actually working together poses a serious challenge. When Linguini considers smuggling Remy into the kitchen in his pants, the rat isn't on board. But the biggest reveal of the scene is Linguini's underwear, shown to be patterned with the logo of Mr. Incredible, the star of The Incredibles. The Dog-Eat-Dog World. There's one fact that no one can deny. The Disney animators are most certainly dog people. And what's better than a canine adventure? How about a shared universe of them? 101 Dalmatians has enough spotted dogs in a single family to worry about. But when the call goes out that the pups are in trouble, Lady and the Tramp can be seen in the city streets, along with their canine co-stars Jock and Peg. The litter's father, Pongo, also makes a cameo in Oliver and Company, along with Jock, Peg, and the always loyal Trusty. So what do you think of our list? Did we miss any of your favorite Disney Easter eggs or inside jokes? Let us know in our comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one.
In 1928, when Walt Disney had Mickey Mouse whistle on a steamboat and squeak his first words, he never realized how big his Disney Princess franchise would be. Maybe that's why it took over 20 years for him to release another Disney Princess film after 1937's release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. These animated beauties have become so popular with children and grown-ups alike that we all know that one slipper can change a life, or that we can use a fork as a comb. Still, there are a lot of facts we didn't realize about Disney princesses that are pretty surprising. Subscribe now and get ready for Screen Rant's list of 10 things you may not have realized about Disney movie princesses.
That's just great. Now what? I'm doomed. And all cause Miss Man decides to take a little drag show on the road.
Mulan's kills in Mulan. Mulan is the first Disney princess to not be a princess by blood or by marriage, and her character is based on a mythological character, the Chinese epic hero Hua Mulan. Still, with all of these facts, the most astonishing one might be her kill count. Mulan causes an avalanche that sweeps over 2,000 Hun soldiers, and her actions cause the death of all but 6 of them. Then, on top of that, one of the 6 that survives is main villain Shan Yu, who she pins to a roof with her sword before Mushu fires a rocket at him. That's a kill count of 1,994, plus 1 assisted death of animated characters, making her the biggest badass princess around.
How about yellow? No, not yellow. Yellow and snow? No go.
Anna's voice cast in Frozen. Disney's 2013 smash hit Frozen melted the hearts of audiences with all the lovable characters in the film, but millions of little girls wanted to be just one character in particular, Elsa, the older sibling of the two. But what about Princess Anna? Since she is 5, 9, and 18 years old in the film, it took 4 actresses to perform her voice, with Kristen Bell having the most screen time among them. This means that Princess Anna holds the record for the most voiceover actors for a Disney princess character.
But you see, I have the other slipper.
Cinderella's shoe size in Cinderella. There are thousands of versions around the world of the mythical story of Cinderella, but none more popular than the 1950 Disney film. With over 400 actresses auditioning for the title role, they would be stunned to find out that the name Cinderella wasn't her real name in previous stories. Cinderella was a nickname, but Disney felt that it was a perfect name for a princess and decided to use it as her real name. In the sequels, we also find out that her shoe size was a tiny 4.5. Being that the average woman's foot size is 7, we now know why her sisters cut off their toes in previous stories to fit into the glass slipper.
I want a spell to change my mum.
Merida's hair in Brave. Originally titled The Bear and the Bow, Disney's 2012 animated film Brave follows the story of Princess Merida, who is determined to make her own path in life. She is the first Disney princess to not have a love interest, and the first to have a biological brother. As a matter of fact, she has 3. Still, her curly red hair is usually her most stunning feature. It's made up of 111,700 hairs that were generated from over 1,500 individually sculpted models. Luckily, she was animated, or she would have taken a long time to prepare her hair in the morning, and the film would have ran longer.
Oh, how silly of me. I'm Snow White.
Snow White's age in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Most little girls are fans of Disney princesses. They love dressing up as them and imagining they will be these characters when they grow up. Little did they realize some of these princesses aren't even that much older than they are. Belle is 17, Jasmine is 15, and coming in first place as the youngest Disney princess of all time is Snow White, at 14 years young. She's not allowed to drive, vote, drink, or smoke, but somehow she can live with 7 men and be swept off her feet by Prince Charming.
And your beard is so twisted.
Jasmine's name in Aladdin. Princess Jasmine was based on a character from an Arabic folktale called 1001 Nights, but was almost named after a character from another book. She was originally going to be named Bajul Badur from the book Arabian Nights, after the princess that marries Aladdin in that book. We can only imagine the fuss the marketing team made when they were told to market merchandise for Princess Bajul Badur. Nice idea on the name change, Disney, even if we would have liked to have heard Robin Williams tackle that name with his improv.
Daughter, stand back.
I won't! I love him, Father.
Pocahontas' tattoo in Pocahontas. Pocahontas is the only Disney princess to be based on a real character, and most believe her to be the first Native American Disney princess, but Tiger Lily from 1953's Peter Pan is actually the first. She does have a few other firsts though. She is the first to never change her costume, and also the first to never wear a tiara like her other Disney princess counterparts. She's also the first and only princess to have a tattoo. Well, at least she might be the only one who's ever shown it, and it's possible that the others are still a little shy.
Thou sword of truth, fly swift and sure, that evil die and good endure.
Aurora's screen time in Sleeping Beauty. Aurora is the only Disney princess to have her first film be a commercial flop, only grossing $5.3 million on a budget of $6 million. Maybe it's because of her lack of screen time. She is only on screen for 18 minutes of the 76-minute film, and coincidentally only has 18 lines of dialogue as well. Or maybe it has to do with the 6 years it took Princess Aurora to arrive on screen, since Walt Disney was preoccupied with building Disneyland and kept holding up production of the film.
Garçon, your finest table, please.
Rapunzel's hair length entangled. Princess Rapunzel might have been the first Disney princess to grace the silver screen, since her story was worked on as a concept before Walt Disney settled on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Not surprisingly, she is the Disney princess with the longest hair, but did you know she also has the shortest hair? After cutting her hair, she beat out Snow White for that honor, over 70 years after she was passed up for her own feature film.
Just had to invite him to stay, didn't we? Serve him tea, sit in the master's chair, pet the pooch.
I was trying to be hospitable.
Belle's sisters in Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is the only animated Disney film starring a princess that has been nominated for a Best Picture Academy Award. This has to do with the wonderful story that the filmmakers delivered. Though in earlier drafts of the script, Belle had two sisters that were nowhere near as kind and loving as Belle herself. Then, in another draft, the writer combined the sisters into a single character, Marguerite, Belle's aunt, who shared several similar characteristics to the sisters. All three characters were written out, and we were instead given the charming film we have today. What do you think of our video? Did we skip over any other facts about Disney movie princesses? Sound off in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more fun videos like this one. Since their first film, Toy Story, Disney Pixar has been amazing audiences, and has continued this for over 20 years. But entertainment is only one factor from the Pixar universe. The talented filmmakers at Pixar enjoy sneaking in hidden secrets and inside jokes in each one of their films. You need to live and breathe Pixar films to know all 10 of these, because we're not going to be counting easy secrets like the Pizza Planet truck or A113 cameos. Get prepared to have your mind blown. And don't forget to subscribe to Screen Rant for more fun videos like this one. Here is Screen Rant's list of 10 secrets about the Disney Pixar universe that will blow your mind. And before we start, can you guess this movie from these emojis? Stay tuned for the answer at the end of our video.
Get out of here, kids! Find a safe spot! We're not going anywhere!
The Incredibles in Ratatouille. The film Ratatouille is laced with Easter eggs, so much so that we all remember when Doug from Up shows himself. But what about the Incredibles Easter egg? In one scene, Linguini has to find a place to hide Remy, and he looks for the perfect spot. Before deciding to hide him in his tuque blanche, he has another idea. That is to place Remy down his pants. Once he pulls open his pants, he reveals his boxers, with the Incredibles logo plastered all over them. How many of you spotted those boxers because you almost bought the same pair? Don't worry, we won't judge.
My name's Buttercup. You've met Baron von Schusch.
Finding Nemo in Toy Story 3. You're going to need your pause button for this one. When Buzz is making his escape from the caterpillar room of the Sunnyside Daycare in Toy Story 3, he whizzes by on a string. If you pause the scene at just the right moment, you can see paintings in the background on the window. Two of these paintings are Dory and Nemo from Finding Nemo. Once you know they're there, it's easy to spot the aquatic characters, especially with Nemo's orange and white striped colorings.
Wally!
Luxo Jr. in WALL-E. Planet Earth is covered with so much trash in 2008's WALL-E that humans left an adorable robot by the name of WALL-E there to clean it up. He has the habit of collecting items he finds interesting and sharing his spoils with his cockroach friend. Once the reconnaissance robot Eve shows up, he goes from cleaning mode to impressing mode. In one scene, he makes a statue of Eve, and her right arm is made from Luxo Jr., Pixar's favorite desk lamp.
It's official. You're coming to all my races from now on.
Gastos in Cars 2. It seems that almost every Pixar film has an Easter egg with a Cars vehicle in it, and soon we'll be showing you one that's harder to find. But what about the Ratatouille nod in Cars 2? The film takes us on a World Grand Prix tour with stops in England, Japan, and Italy. One destination the crew travels to is to Paris, France, and if you don't blink, you might see Gastos. Gastos is the vehicular version of Ratatouille's Gusteau's restaurant. Maybe the crew stopped there for a glass of synthetic oil before the big race.
I'm not gonna scare you. I'm off duty.
Monsters, Inc. in Finding Nemo. When we visit the dentist's office in Finding Nemo, most people spot the Buzz Lightyear toy on the floor in front of the toy chest. But that's not the only toy there. There's another hidden one that you can spot if you look really closely. Focus really hard and look in the toy box. There's Boo's teddy bear from Monsters, Inc. It's difficult to make out, but once you spot it, that's definitely Boo's teddy. We hope that she comes back and picks up her teddy bear.
I did it! I finally defeated Zurg!
Father.
Luxo Jr. again in Toy Story 2. Here's one for all you astronomy buffs out there. Have you ever sat under the night sky and tried to make out a constellation you were taught about in science class and wonder how those stars are supposed to look like a scorpion? Well, Pixar gave us an easier constellation to find. When Buzz flies back down to Earth in Toy Story 2, look closely at the stars. There's Luxo Jr., the famous desk lamp of the Pixar short film in constellation form. Let us know if you spot him in the night sky above your house. Newt in Brave. Pixar loves to give you sneak peeks in their current films about upcoming films. Remember when Boo offered her Nemo doll to Sully in Monsters, Inc. 2 years before Finding Nemo even hit theaters? In the film Brave, the witch holds a newt up when concocting a spell, to foreshadow the upcoming film Newt that Pixar was working on. Did you miss this Easter egg? You probably did, because Newt was shelved and was never made. But all of you true Pixar fans already knew this, right?
New toys!
Cars in Toy Story 3. Be prepared for not one, not two, but 3 hidden Cars references in 2010's Toy Story 3. In the previous Toy Story film, Andy had a calendar with a reference from A Bug's Life on it, but since he's now grown up, we can see the image is now of Snotrod from Cars. Then, when we head into the Sunnyside daycare, one child can be seen sporting a 95 t-shirt with a lightning bolt design. That same lightning bolt and red color can be seen on a wooden car in the background of the same location. Did you spot any more Cars references we missed?
What is that thing?
Luxo Jr. ball in Up. The small yellow ball with a blue stripe and red star was first featured in an early Pixar short by the name of Luxo Jr. Buzz uses it to help him fly in the first Toy Story film, and it's shown up in a lot of other Pixar films. One that people usually miss is in the 2009 film Up, because they're usually paying attention to the antagonist of Toy Story 3, Lotso. Look to the right and you can see the Luxo Jr. ball right in front of the little girl. Whoever the manufacturer of this ball is, they must be a millionaire by now.
Dyna guy. Oh, he had a great look. Oh, the cape and the boots.
No capes.
The Incredibles in Finding Nemo. In 2003's Finding Nemo, a boy is seen sitting near his mother reading a comic book as he waits to be seen by the dentist. Nothing looks too peculiar in this scene, but check out that comic book. It's a retro design for a golden age pre-red suit Mr. Incredible. We wonder if Edna Mode had any say in his outfit. Obviously, one caped crusader shown on the comic wasn't dressed by Edna. There you have it, 10 secrets about the Disney Pixar universe that will blow your mind. And the answer to the movie emoji is... Did you get the right answer? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Screen Rant for more fun videos like this one.
No movie universe has shaped young minds or found a place in kids' hearts like the decades of Disney's animated adventures. So it's no surprise that fans have spent time and energy trying to prove that every film connects to those around it, sometimes looking a bit too close at a random Easter egg. With the surprise success of Disney's Frozen, fans have come up with a theory that is out of this world, claiming another Disney hero is a long-lost sibling of the starring Frozen sisters. With Disney keeping quiet on any official canon, the theories are all in the name of fun, and using a bit more imagination in between releases. We've done our best to lay out the theories that work and the ones that don't in our first docuseries exploring the secret family relations between Disney movie princesses. Frozen Entangled. By now, every Disney fan knows where this theory starts, with a single split-second cameo from two other Disney stars. But before we get into Queen Elsa's coronation, we'll have to explain why the throne is empty in the first place. It's nothing new for a Disney hero to be without their parents, so seeing the King and Queen of Arendelle removed from the picture was less than shocking. That doesn't make it any less tragic, with Anna and Elsa bidding farewell as their parents head out to sea for a 2-week round-trip journey. The ship is lost at sea, leaving the girls without their parents, and Arendelle without a monarch. After 3 years, Elsa is old enough to claim the crown, and the entire kingdom and visitors from far-off lands show up to celebrate. The doors are opened, and Anna heads out to greet the guests, 2 of which are instantly recognizable. Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, the stars of Tangled, are impossible to miss, thanks to their hairstyles and clothing. It might seem like a tiny Easter egg, but it got fans thinking. Frozen would have to be set after the events of Tangled for the cameo to make sense, so perhaps the 2 movies are more connected than they seem. Fans have spun some wild theories, claiming Rapunzel and Elsa's mothers look alike because they're sisters, married to the kings of 2 different kingdoms. One daughter is born with the gift of healing, thanks to a magical flower, while the other is born with control of icy magic. It's impossible to actually prove the princess is there to see her cousin's coronation, but Arendelle should have sent someone to celebrate Rapunzel's return home and wedding, like, say, the king and queen. Unfortunately, Frozen never explains where the royal couple is headed, or why, only that their ship sinks along the way. But using the countries that these fictional kingdoms in Frozen and Tangled were based on takes this theory even farther. Disney's animators took a trip to Norway to help create the mountainy kingdom of Arendelle, and Rapunzel's home of Corona is likely inspired by 18th century Germany, the same place the Brothers Grimm wrote their famous version of the story. That would put the 2 films on opposite sides of the North Sea, with the ship being sunk somewhere off the coast of Denmark. Why does that matter? Well, no Disney movie is explicitly set in a Danish kingdom, but one of the studio's most beloved classics was written by a Danish citizen, a fact that takes this theory into time-bending shared universe territory. The Little Mermaid. The writer in question is Hans Christian Andersen, whose version of The Little Mermaid was a bit darker than Disney's version. But some have claimed that the movie actually ties into Frozen directly, with the shipwreck explored by Ariel in the opening scenes being the exact ship that Elsa's parents died on. The theory can lose some steam with that twist, since it's a bit of a reach. But the biggest problem is the climate. Anderson also wrote The Snow Queen, which Frozen was based on, and that's a better fit for the North Sea than a story filled with tropical fish and sandy beaches. But don't worry, conspiracy fans. The shipwreck in The Little Mermaid can still come from Arendelle. It's just nowhere near Denmark or the North Sea. When the directors of Frozen were asked point blank about Elsa's parents' destination on Reddit, they gave direct answers. Jennifer Lee said it was a wedding, with Chris Buck clarifying that the king and queen didn't die on the ship at all. In fact, it didn't even sink. The ship and the couple survived weeks, possibly even months lost at sea, until they washed up on a jungle shore and had to build a home next to a family of gorillas. Tarzan. That's right. According to Buck, the king and queen of Arendelle were the shipwrecked parents of the boy who would grow up to be Tarzan. They get shipwrecked, far away from the Scandinavian waters, and they end up in the jungle. They end up building a treehouse and a leopard kills them, so their baby boy is raised by gorillas. So the storm didn't sink the ship, it just tossed it out into the Atlantic, to travel south to Africa, before bursting into flames and sinking. Something that happens pretty often in Disney's universe. That might be a hard trip to believe, but in a world of ape men and magical attacks, a storm being really powerful is actually easy to believe. Just to be clear, weird family relations in the Tarzan story aren't anything new either. In the original version of the story, Tarzan's real name would have been John Clayton, a cousin of the movie's villain. Frankly, we're all for a different explanation. There are still a few problems with the theory, but it's what director Chris Buck believes happened. and since he also directed Tarzan, he's kind of an authority on the subject. It's still an unhappy ending for the king and queen, but Elsa and Anna's brother finds a family and happiness of his own. Even if the details don't match up, it's what the director believes is the true story. As for the wrecked ship, for those who love the idea of Ariel investigating it, who's to say it couldn't drift a bit farther before sinking? After all, there's another hint that these locations aren't as far apart as you might think. The Cinderella factor. To prove that these Disney kings, queens, princes, and princesses really do share the same social circles, fans can watch when Prince Eric is almost duped into marrying the wrong woman in The Little Mermaid. A split-second shot shows the king and duke from Cinderella having traveled to see the royal wedding. And when the doors to Arendelle's castle are opened, the first few frames feature a woman sharing more than a passing resemblance to Sleeping Beauty's Aurora, as well as the Princess and the Frog's Tiana. With all those details, it's hard to believe Elsa's parents weren't headed to the wedding of another Disney princess. It isn't likely that Disney will ever confirm or deny any official connections, and in the end, they don't really need to, since the characters aren't likely to ever meet. It's enough to know that in the mind that helped to create Tarzan and Frozen, Anna and Elsa's long-lost brother in a faraway land was the king of the jungle. The ship that got him there, well, that's just for fans to do what Disney is all about, use their imagination. To summarize everything, the theory claims that Elsa and Anna are actually the sisters of Tarzan, since their parents lived long enough to deliver him as a baby to the gorillas who raised him. A part of their ship kept on drifting until it came to rest on the ocean floor, where Ariel eventually explored it for trinkets. The rest would be used to build a treehouse. She would marry Prince Eric not long after, a prince who was apparently close enough to Cinderella's family to have her father-in-law, the king, and his right-hand man, the Grand Duke, at the wedding. Disney royalty apparently make a point of attending other royal weddings, and Frozen's director confirms the King and Queen of Arendelle were headed to one when they disappeared. It could have been Cinderella's wedding to Prince Charming, Aurora's wedding to Prince Philip, or even Tiana's wedding to Prince Naveen, since they're both shown arriving for Elsa's coronation. But if the Queen of Arendelle really was the sister of Rapunzel's mother, or they're just neighboring queens, it's a safe bet they were headed to Rapunzel's wedding when they disappeared. Not one to forget such a sacrifice, Rapunzel and Flynn made sure to see Elsa's coronation in person. It's not as complicated as it may sound if fans realize the characters may be familiar or even friendly with stars of other classic movies, which all lead to one big question. Are all Disney films part of the same shared universe? They may never give a clear answer, so until then, let us know what you think, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for amazing movie fact videos and insightful documentaries.
Anyone who grew up with Disney movies knows that they can get pretty dark. Mufasa gets trampled to death in The Lion King, Quasimodo's mother is brutally killed in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. But many of Disney's animated classics have had to soften or remove the more gruesome or depressing aspects of the fairy tales that they were based on. Make sure you let us know if we forgot any in the comments below. Here is Screen Rant's Dark Disney, real stories behind popular Disney films. Tangled. Disney's Tangled puts a different spin on Rapunzel's charming prince. Instead, the long-haired heroine is helped down from her tower by a thief named Flynn Rider. In the original story, the escape never even takes place. Mother Gothel discovers Rapunzel's plans and casts her out into the desert, where she eventually gives birth to twins and lives in misery for years. Her handsome prince is tricked into climbing the tower to find Gothel waiting for him at the top. She throws him from the tower into a thorn bush that pokes out his eyes. The poor prince is left to wander for years, completely blind, and surviving only by eating grass and roots. The lovebirds eventually meet, and Rapunzel cures his blindness with a magic tear. They live happily ever after, and probably both pretty traumatized. Pinocchio. You might think that Disney's version of Pinocchio is dark enough already, especially the scene where a bunch of misbehaving children get horribly transformed into donkeys. Still, Pinocchio makes it out alright by the end of the film with the help of his good friend and conscience, Jiminy Cricket. What happens to the lovable Jiminy Cricket in Carlo Collodi's original novel, you might ask? Well, he doesn't get a chance to sing about wishing upon a star. When the talking cricket shows up to offer Pinocchio a bit of moral guidance, Pinocchio immediately murders him with a mallet. and is haunted by the ghost of the dead cricket throughout the rest of the book. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Like many animated Disney films, early classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs ends with the villain getting their comeuppance. After trying unsuccessfully to kill Snow White several times, the evil queen falls off a cliff, gets crushed by a boulder, and then vultures descend to feed upon her corpse. It doesn't get any darker than that, right? Well, in the Brothers Grimm version of the story, the queen is forced to put on a pair of glowing hot iron shoes and dance in them until she dies. Suddenly falling off a cliff doesn't sound so bad. Cinderella. Disney's Cinderella is forced to play servant to her wicked stepmother and ugly stepsisters, but is eventually rewarded with a handsome prince and a royal castle to live in. In the Brothers Grimm version of the story, Cinderella's stepsisters are so desperate to get the glass slipper on that they cut off bits of their feet to try and make it fit. It works, but all the blood kind of gives them away. To make matters worse, when the stepsisters attend Cinderella's wedding, birds descend on them and peck out their eyes. Frozen. Disney's Frozen is very loosely based on a book called The Snow Queen by Danish author Hans Christian Andersen. In the original version of the story, a demonic troll creates a looking glass that reflects even the most beautiful things back as being ugly and hideously distorted. When the mirror is accidentally shattered, the pieces scatter all over the world. Splinters of glass land in people's hearts, turning them cold and cruel, or in their eyes, making them incapable of seeing beauty. One unfortunate little boy gets a splinter in his heart and his eye, corrupting him so much that he runs away to live with the powerful Snow Queen. This fairy tale does at least have a happy ending, but it doesn't have a happy snowman. The Little Mermaid. Hans Christian Andersen is also the writer behind The Little Mermaid, which Disney adapted in 1989 and sprinkled with some classic songs, a great villain, and a characteristically happy Disney ending. The original story is considerably more depressing. First off, after the Little Mermaid is given human legs, every step she takes feels as though the soles of her feet are being stabbed with knives. To make matters worse, the prince ends up marrying someone else and never finds out that the Little Mermaid was the woman who saved him from drowning. The Little Mermaid is given a chance to get her tail back by stabbing the prince in the heart, but she can't bear to kill him and instead throws herself into the ocean to her death, where her body dissolves into froth. Sleeping Beauty. A handsome, charming prince is a common trope in Disney movies, and they're usually the perfect gentleman. In Disney's Sleeping Beauty, Princess Aurora and Prince Philip meet each other and fall in love in the forest, and Philip later rescues Aurora from an enchanted sleep. It's a lot more romantic than the 17th century author Giambattista Basile's version of the story, in which Sleeping Beauty is discovered by a passing king. Instead of breaking the spell, he rapes the sleeping woman and then leaves, forgetting all about her. The poor girl wakes up 9 months later after having given birth to 2 children with no idea what happened. Those are our favorite dark versions of Disney fairy tales. For an added level of fun for fans, movie and television shows have been known to include Easter eggs or subtle references that only the most eagle-eyed viewers will find. But Disney and Pixar take Easter eggs and hidden details to another level. Here are Screen Rant's 10 amazing hidden details in Disney films. Frozen figures. Frozen catapulted to massive popularity with the help from the catchy and inspirational song Let It Go, but the film also features a handful of references to previous Disney and Pixar movies, like Rapunzel and Flynn Rider from Tangled attending Elsa's coronation. But you have to look a lot closer to catch some of Frozen's other nods to Monsters, Inc. and Mickey himself. At Wandering Oaken's trading post in Sauna, a wooden figurine of Mike Wazowski can be seen sitting on the store's counter, and a Mickey Mouse doll is hidden on another shelf. Anna only decides to buy winter wear, which was probably the right call. King Triton's guests. In the scene in The Little Mermaid, when King Triton makes his entrance in Atlantis to a room full of guests, many have spotted Goofy and Mickey and Donald Duck sitting in the crowd, but a second before they become visible, Kermit the Frog is shown seated farther back in the audience, recognizable by his green collar. We can only wonder, why did Mickey and Kermit choose not to sit together? Is there some kind of beef between them? I guess we'll never know. Spinning wheel. The folktale Sleeping Beauty has been told and retold for centuries, but one element that never changes is the princess pricking her finger on the spindle of her spinning wheel, sending her into a deep sleep. The spinning wheel played a big part in Disney's version too, with an evil witch behind the trap until Prince Philip saves her entire kingdom with true love's kiss. But the spinning wheel apparently survived, since it can be seen in Rapunzel's tower in the beginning of Tangled, connecting the two stories of Disney princesses trapped by a witch. Wreck-It Ralph cameos. To populate the behind-the-scenes world of arcade games and Wreck-It Ralph, animators included tons of video game mascots and heroes. Bowser, Pac-Man, Sonic the Hedgehog, Q*bert, and Frogger all make an appearance. But in one wide shot of Game Central Station, 2 characters unrelated to video games can be seen. Vladimir, one of Tangled's thugs in the Snuggly Duckling pub, and Maximus the Proud Palace horse are walking in opposite directions in the station. There's also a dinosaur that closely resembles Tiny the T-Rex from Meet the Robinsons, and those are only the Easter eggs and cameos that fans have actually spotted. Charlotte's storybooks. It's established early on in The Princess and the Frog that Southern belle Charlotte LaBouffe has an obsession with storybook princesses, especially their dresses. That's how she comes to be friends with Tiana, the daughter of a seamstress. When Tiana kisses a frog claiming to be a prince, breaking the spell accidentally makes a mess of Charlotte's room, and we get a good glimpse of Charlotte's book collection. If you look closely, one storybook on a shelf is revealed to be Rapunzel. The fairy tale Disney's next princess film would focus on Entangled, giving a nod to the following release. Apple. In 1986, Steve Jobs purchased the computer graphics division from George Lucas's Lucasfilm, establishing the independent company we now know as Pixar. In honor of the man who also founded Apple, Pixar has included nods to the tech company or Jobs himself in a number of films. Most notably, the titular robotic hero of WALL-E makes the recognizable Mac startup chime when he's done charging. Apple products like computers and iPods are also shown throughout Toy Story 3. Finally, after Jobs passed away in 2011, the end credits of Brave featured a dedication to Jobs in memory of his contribution to Pixar. That last one may not necessarily be hidden, but it's worth mentioning. Kristoff's boogers. It isn't that often that filmmakers include messages in the credits, but aside from special thanks, sometimes the credits can be used for one last joke. In the end credits of Frozen, the filmmakers included a message to assure audiences that Kristoff's assertion that all men eat their own boogers is his opinion only.
Picks his nose.
And eats it.
Excuse me, sir, he is a prince.
And does not reflect the views or opinions of the Walt Disney Company or filmmakers. It seems Disney, like Kristoff, takes the issue of ingesting nose mucus very seriously. Andy's postcard. There are multiple theories circulating the web about all the connections between Disney and Pixar films, and certain Easter eggs lend more credence to those theories than others. For instance, one shot from Toy Story 3 confirms that the series' main human character, Andy, exists in the same world as Carl and Ellie Fredricksen from Up. If you look closely at the bulletin board in Andy's room, there's a postcard from the couple that includes the address of their beloved yellow house, before it's transported to South America, of course. Nemo takes a swim. Disney's Brother Bear may not be as popular or critically acclaimed as the studio's other movies, but the animated feature focuses on the idea of family, like many of Disney and Pixar's other films. Plus, Brother Bear features a blink-and-you'll-miss-it nod to Pixar's more popular 2003 release, Finding Nemo, about a father searching for his son. If you don't look close enough at the group of salmon, it's easy to miss the clownfish hiding among them. It seems Nemo wasn't lost at 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney, Australia, but swimming with salmon on the other side of the world. Tangled's book collection. Most of the hidden Easter eggs inside Disney movies only manage to reference one movie at a time, but One Shot Entangled features nods to 3 other princess films. When Rapunzel and Flynn Rider are poring over an atlas while at the Festival of Lights in Corona, books referencing other films can be seen. One open book displays the story from the opening sequence of Sleeping Beauty, and 2 others are the storybooks containing the tales of Beauty and the Beast and The Little Mermaid. It's unclear if Rapunzel has read the fairy tales of her fellow Disney princesses, but it's a nicely hidden reference to their films. So what do you think of our list? Did we miss any hidden details in your favorite Disney movies? Let us know in our comment section below. You would think that drawing every frame of animation or creating entire digital movie sets 1 pixel at a time would make it easier to avoid mistakes or accidents. But some of the most well-known animated movies have incredible mistakes that fans probably never noticed, until now. We've done a couple of movie mistake videos, and if you're a fan, stick around until the end for links to those other great videos. Here are Screen Rant's 10 biggest movie mistakes you missed in Disney films. Toy Story 2. When 2 of the starring toys of Pixar's flagship series have a conversation in front of a TV screen, a mistake on the animator's part left fans with 2 strange explanations. Either the animators forgot to put the toys' reflections in the TV screen, or the movie has been following the ghosts of long-dead toys this entire time. We like to think it was a mistake, but the second answer is obviously more exciting. Frozen. Considering the awards it racked up for its soundtrack and singing, you'd think that Frozen was flawless when it came to music. Instruments were a different story. Kristoff's 4-string guitar gives fans a funny song.
But people smell better than reindeers.
But with only 3 tuning pegs to match, this missing peg is a mistake no musician could miss. Cinderella. Even Disney princesses aren't immune to wardrobe malfunctions, or stealthy costume changes without explanation. Cinderella's long-sleeve wedding dress is hard to forget, especially since a similar design was used in the real royal wedding. But after the wedding, Cinderella's dress suddenly becomes sleeveless. Apparently, 2 different animators are to blame, since the color of the carriage's drapes changes color to make the mistake even easier to spot. Tangled. Nobody could have guessed that Eugene would make the ultimate sacrifice, slicing off Rapunzel's magical hair to keep her from saving his life. Apparently, even the animators were a little too caught up in the scene to pay attention to detail. There's clearly a large metal shackle attached to his wrist throughout the scene, but when he raises a hand to give Rapunzel one last touch, it's magically disappeared. It's not a massive mistake, but in a movie without many, it's easy to spot. Pocahontas. We're going to skip over the historical accuracy of this Disney story, since one small mistake is enough to make viewers' heads hurt. Shadows can be tricky things in animated and CG movies, since they can bend, distort, or overlap in weird ways. But one thing's for sure, when Pocahontas and Nakoma are walking holding hands, the shadows that precede them should definitely be doing the same. Maybe there was more magic going on in this story than we even realized. Wreck-It Ralph. The story of a bad guy turned hero ends on a sweet note, with Ralph letting us know that the best part of his day is being tossed off a building when his tenants lift him up high enough to see his friend Vanellope in the game Sugar Rush. It's a touching idea to wrap up the story, but it isn't exactly true. Earlier in the movie, it's made pretty clear that Ralph can see the entire Sugar Rush game from further down the apartment building. Maybe it's the thought that counts. Frozen. A missing peg is one thing, but how about a disappearing sword? When Hans tells Elsa that her sister has been killed by her magic, it's obvious he doesn't have any weapons with him out on the ice. But just moments later, you can hear the sound of a weapon being drawn. A massive sword that wasn't there before. And he still isn't wearing a sheath that would have made the sound. Ice isn't the only magic at work. Monsters, Inc. It's one thing to claim the monsters can use closet doors to travel across the globe in a few seconds, but it's something else to say they have mastery over time itself. The chase scene through the warehouse full of doors is exciting, but take a second look at the locations the stars travel. For starters, it's nighttime when they start in Nepal, then again when they head to Florida. If that wasn't enough of a problem, it's the middle of the day in Paris, the South Pacific, and Japan. Ratatouille. There's plenty of actual culinary expertise for food fans underneath the action of this Pixar hit, and even some chef humor thrown in for good measure. When food critic Anton Ego remembers his last review of Gusteau's restaurant, he uses one of the world's most famous chefs to insult the establishment.
Monsieur Boyardee.
Touché. Audiences are meant to take it as a slam against the face of American canned pasta and sauce, but Hector Boyardee wasn't just a mascot for the brand. He was an award-winning chef at New York's Plaza Hotel years before he started selling his food to the public. He would even receive special honors from both the USA and Russia for feeding troops during World War II. Which means Ego's insult would actually be a massive compliment. Now there's some food for thought. Wreck-It Ralph. There's also a much bigger oversight later in the movie, when Vanellope and Ralph succeed in getting the candy-speckled girl across the finish line, resetting the game to the way it should be, with Vanellope now a princess and King Candy's invading influence wiped clean. It's a happy ending, but the artists must have missed the memo. King Candy's logo and face can still be seen just as they were when he was ruling. Those are some of our favorite mix-ups, mistakes, and errors in Disney films. But which ones have we missed? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to check out our other movie mistakes videos by clicking on the link at the top right. If you want to be part of it all, subscribe to our channel for more videos about amazing movie secrets. Thanks!